Today I'm going to show you what is considered a dangerous neighborhood and at the same time a poor neighborhood in Cuba. I lived in this Cuban neighborhood from age 8 to 16, where practicing African religion is common. And well, I'm gonna talk a bit more about this topic in this video, so stay tuned, it's really interesting. Hello my people, how are you? And welcome once again to my channel. In case you don't know me, I'm Anita, a Cuban living in Spain. Currently, I'm visiting my home country, Cuba. And so I'm making a little series of videos from here, from my return to Cuba. Like all my shows, all the things that have surprised me after living a year and a bit in Spain. Believe me, DM, your mind changes a lot. And there are many videos that I never made when I lived in Cuba, and like this one that I'm gonna make today. I always introduce myself, as many people are new. If you're not, I send you a little kiss, but if you are, welcome. Remember that there is a button below called subscribe. That button notifies you when I upload a new video, and you can also like it and activate the notification. Thank you for the super and for joining as a member. Your support motivates me to keep creating content on this platform. In this video, we'll be touring the neighborhood where I grew up. As mentioned in the title, I was raised here. I am originally from another province called Matanzas, but when I was 8 years old, my mom moved to this province. In the center of Cuba, the center of the island called Santi Espiritus. So can it be said that I spent part of my childhood and adolescence here? Until I was 16 years old when I moved back to Matanzas. And well, I spent a large part of my life in my mom's house. What is this that you're seeing in this neighborhood that I'm going to be showing you in the city of Santiago? Spirit that I don't know why, well, I do know why. But this neighborhood has the reputation of being the worst and most dangerous neighborhood in the city. And so I grew up here. I practically didn't leave my house much. I was a girl who stayed at home a lot because it wasn't like much of that environment perhaps experienced in this neighborhood streets. And well, nothing. Today we are going to tour this neighborhood and I am going to explain why it is dangerous, and I am going to show you the way of life. How do people live here? Why is it said to be dangerous? What's going on? You'll find many interesting things about life in Cuba, as neighborhoods like these are common throughout the country. So come on, join me to get to know my neighborhood. The most perilous area in Santi Espiritu, officially named Jesus Maria, but not this particular street. The neighborhood starts right there when we turn, which is the known bad neighborhood of Santi Espiritu. And well, we're going to delve into the depths of the street. Another thing is that we are walking down this street at noon. There aren't many people because here people hide from the sun. Due to the strong sun, few people will be on the street. I'd like to show you more of the people who are out and about. But I prefer it this way as there's always so much noise here. It's very difficult for me to record videos here on the streets of Cuba because the noise is unbearable. So here begins what is Jesus Maria Street. As you can see, the streets here have potholes, the houses with music. So far, people are mostly in their homes, but just so you can see what this neighborhood looks like. In this video, I won't be alone since I only lived here briefly and there's a lot of neighborhood history to cover. Because it's dangerous and I don't know it, but we're going to have someone who was born and raised here who is part of my family. And well, he's going to explain a little bit more about what life is like here. Raiz has lived 28 years in Jesus Maria. It is said to be a dangerous neighborhood. You mentioned that the neighborhood starts at La Ceiba.
Greeting each other is very common in La Ceiba from before De Melo. San Maria practically starts from here, from La Ceiba onwards.
And why? From La Ceiba? What does La Ceiba mean?
Because of the religious syncretism. Before, this area was heavily populated with slaves and the relatives of slaves and such. So the religion remained very much. And now the Ceiba tree is like the marker of the neighborhood as such.
And why? One thing, this is well known in this neighborhood because many people practice the African religion. Yes, because what is the history that here before were like the slaves in the city or something like that? Yes, this
was outside the city. Recall that in the Spanish city, they began from the church.
Yes, the part of the church was the Spanish part. Yes, the part.
The church divided the area with the wealthy residing in the north and the poor in the south and outskirts. It was already here, the south part, attached to the river margins. The old houses where the slaves lived and worked, as well as the tile factories and farms, were located here. Do you understand? And here all the slaves and all the relatives sat, and it was left.
The religion.
The behavior and the idiosyncrasy and those things.
I remember when I moved to this neighborhood as a child, there were many fights between local families and people, as we call them here. It was very risky, and my mother warned me against leaving home. And at night the same, and at night. But this is true. It's true that this neighborhood is dangerous. Really, because I feel good walking around right now. No, and now?
No, that was before. So what happened before here? Before there were few houses and everyone was practically family. There are 5 or 6 families. Mine is the Trinitarians. There's the Palanganas, the Cucuyos. Do you see like that by name as such?
Yes, like by nicknames,
Nicknames or by very marked surnames. So each family had its own way of being, and it all started from the quarrels. It was because of the boys. Discussions, children, and that's it. And the parents would fight afterwards, and that's it. And drunkenness and things. There was also such a low cultural level before that almost no one studied or anything, and
now
everyone studied a little more, and life is getting harder every day.
we are trying
To find the $5 to eat?
Exactly, he's not up for a fight. Right now there aren't many people, but in the afternoon everyone is sitting here. It's break time. It's break time. Yes.
Most people in the neighborhood are sleeping because they are already stoned.
They are already drunk. Here it is.
Everyone from the gossip gets up at 5:30 in the morning. Those already heading to work or turning the corner are half asleep drunk at this hour. They're going to rest. And around 3 in the afternoon, the movement starts again, and the corners are going to dominate. The
People
are going to greet each other and so on.
Let's try recording a bit later in the afternoon when the sun is lower and people are out on the street so we can capture the atmosphere. What's going on with that?
Potholes. Or does water hardly ever get in? And then people start making new holes and try to put the hose a little further down and such to get water out. And then, since there isn't constant public maintenance, it stays like that with a hole.
The truth is that there is practically no maintenance on the streets or anything here. It's not like, for example, in Spain. One thing that always surprises me is that they are always doing maintenance and fixing everything. Don't you feel a bump when you're driving? Never. But here in Cuba, yes. All the streets have potholes, especially in these types of neighborhoods, which are not central. They are like bad neighborhoods and such.
Does that happen to you too? I have traveled, and sometimes I would pass by a street and think, well, this street is new and so on. And yet they would tear everything up and lay down new, as if to say it's its turn. And
You don't understand?
here, even if it's its turn, there's none.
Of course. There are also some houses here, for example, this type of houses. So many are raised, but they never finish fixing them because, well, there are no resources, there are no materials.
It's more expensive to finish it than to build the house.
It's more expensive to finish it and make it look nice than to raise it. Yes, of course.
Because that's the way it is, it's harder.
Well, here we are on this street, which I'm looking at, where there's a little bit of shade. I don't know if you can see. There are more people. Look, a domino game is already underway. A popular pastime many Cubans enjoy playing in the streets. Many do it for money.
Right? No, not so much, because the
Game is forbidden, the betting and all that.
is killing time with an invented rum bottle that slipped in, as one says already, and they get into the afternoon. Many work, others are day laborers, and that's how they entertain themselves and kill time and forget about problems.
The truth is that here I feel that the Cuban spends a lot of time like killing time. Also when there are blackouts and there is nothing to do. In short, I think a lot of time is wasted here because there is not much to do. And the main concerns are to see what you are going to eat today and see what you are going to solve. And once you're done, well, people also have to kind of clear their minds a bit, right? And they go out to play dominoes. A lot of people just sit at their front doors just to watch the street. He lives on this block, which is slightly better since public transportation, a bus passes by here.
And so the bus relaxed him a bit, but well, that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Look, this is something very common in Cuba. It's like people leave their doors open. Yes, all the houses here are open. People leave their doors open because it's so hot. I don't know if it's because of the heat. Do you know that people, as usual, are there in the living room and they leave the door open?
So that the air circulates and so that people know you're there, you see? Because here it's very normal in these neighborhoods, mainly up there it's not seen, but for these neighborhoods, the human warmth is easier. On this corner, someone without a living room stands, and on another corner, I've arrived with a small tart. And so people leave the door open for you to come and chat and kill the
Time. Look at these types of houses. So they are very tall. They are like houses that were old and well. They are divided and each one takes like each family. He took his piece. Now, because if you notice that these are more modern, which are shorter, but these are like old ones like this.
Tall.
Well, as I was telling you, we are in this neighborhood where the African religion is practiced a lot. And right here is the cabildo, which the cabildo is like a... I don't know how to explain it. Let the one who lives here explain it better, because I honestly don't know much about this topic.
In the past, there were several people from the area who would gather for the town's affairs and so on. And they worshipped a Catholic saint, in this case, St. Barbara, and it's called Divine Light St. Barbara. It was gradually syncretized with the religion, Yoruba, and then St. Barbara for the Catholics and for the Santeros of Chango. And then there are some Catholic saints, and at the same time, there are African things. All that is conjugated there, and everyone comes here to make promises, to ask, and so on. Just like the many ceiba trees. Do you know about the other trees you see? Yes, they are ceiba trees. You're going to see a lot of ceiba trees here because all the houses, all the yards of the old mansions, there was a ceiba tree. That's the part where the slaves lived, yes. It was like the garage, and that's the place. The slaves always planted a ceiba tree, which was the sacred tree of the Africans. And there they could perform their rituals, disguising the saints.
The
Taste of the Catholic saints. And below, as was the majority of them, they opened it below and put the stones of the agrement stones that the angel uses, I-African, which are stones. They put them there and took the days, for example, the day of St. Barbara, which is of December. They would take and make drums and things. They get permission to make drums and speak in their language. The catalog owners and Catholics thought they were worshiping Santa, but they were actually praising Changu, the look-alike saint.
Wow, that's interesting. I honestly don't know much about this. And, well, here we have a little spot that sells some food items. It says there are croquettes. People here make a living by selling items from their homes. It's super normal for every house to sell something. That's what's sold, and people put out the trash. As explained in my house video, there are no containers on the corners, and you have to wait for someone to collect the trash.
Here, normally a tractor or a truck comes by on Tuesdays and Thursdays usually. But now, as the fuel comes, when it comes, people start accumulating there. Until one good day, coincidentally, someone comes by for it. From the trash, everyone takes advantage. I remove the sacks instead of leaving them visible. Since there are no sacks or trash bags, I use a base to...
People take advantage, the people.
The turn of the block, people say to him, to the garbage man, empty my bag, because there is no bag, there is no trash bag. And you have to take the same bag, hang it back outside the house in the same place so you can keep throwing and throw it away later.
Look, we're already entering more into the deep, and there is no longer a street. This is already land, and...
Well, grass.
When I lived here, I never went to this part. I lived there on my street. And I didn't leave the house much because I also heard that this part was super dangerous.
There were no houses or anything here?
There was no house here before.
No, these buildings that you see there and these houses were already being built when I was a child.
Here.
There was nothing here. We boys would come to mess around, play ball and such. And to walk through the underbrush, here there were guava trees and such things. They ended up bathing him in the river when before you could bathe.
We will now see the river. As he says, many people depend on it for their livelihood.
Yes, most people here live off the river.
But what do they do in the river?
Some live off what they fish and sell it to people.
And do they fish there in those rivers?
Yes, before there was more variety in fishing, but now it's scarce. Do you want a tilapia or a clara?
And tilapia and clara, why?
Is it so polluted and there is so much?
Yes, that river is polluted and it's so dry that in
reality not much is caught today because the drought embraces it a lot.
And
so it's very difficult.
Here, as you can see, the neighborhood ends. This is the end, and over there is a road that I think goes somewhere else, right?
That is the road that goes around Santiago Espiritu and leads to Trinidad.
But let's see, like here in this neighborhood, crimes like suertes or something like that have happened. Well, let's see. When I was a child, what I found out about were fights of...
Yes, here, before people would come when the vineyard was man to man, each one would take a knife or a machete and say, let's go so that no one separates us. We would come to the riverbank after the brawl looking for the one who survived. The other person would be injured or dead.
There is the river, but that river is very polluted.
It has garbage.
It has everything.
You could go down here before, but the garbage makes it very difficult now.
And well, in this neighborhood, you see a lot of people practicing the African religion. As you probably wonder, what does a house look like? He's giving us a house tour to show us the people's belongings, rituals, and way of life. Let's see how it goes.
No, to know, most houses have...
The marabou. What does that mean?
That is a religious use article. But the doors of the santeros to identify themselves have to have that.
Ah, I see. So when you see a door with that, it means the person living there is a santero.
And now this year, the spirit of my godfather, before the year ended, told us that for this year, to avoid deaths and such, we should put that up. That's why there are more houses with those up. Typically, religious people like santeros and abalados must have that. If you look ahead, there's also some there. Most of the houses in the neighborhood have that.
And that, what is it? He's going to explain it to those of us who have some knowledge about this topic. This is a way to see the different types of people there are in the world. In Cuba, many people practice Catholicism inherited from Spain, while others follow traditions inherited from Africa. And then, surely for you, it is very interesting to see this type of people who also practice this religion.
Well, for my part, the Afro-Cuban religion or the Yoruba religion, I have it on my side. My other family was very, very atheist from this time, from when the revolution began. And the Soviets, since, believe in nothing, just the doctrine, but well, my family or part of parents, and kept the religion hidden and everything, like...
As if this is not a big deal. Let them do it. Very...
Humble everyone. Sometimes people associate religion with wanting money and being big, if that thing, and not like that. Each person arrives on earth with a destiny. Most santeros in Cuba keep their saints humbly as best they can. And there are people who have a little bit more, others who have a little bit less, and so on. But normally everyone has the basics, which are the tools, the things, what the nails are. Here my language has a little bit of this. It becomes like a sign that came out for this. It should be like a horse brake, but to find an original, it's very difficult and very expensive. So they have made this like this rustic, as if making believe that it is a horse brake so that it looks good. Here I have my collection of money from various countries I've visited around the world. Others have gifted me with foreign keys, and here I have my little snails. In this, yellow was what I found, but normally people have it in red and black.
And, well, I show you this so that you can see the variety of beliefs and things that exist in the world. We always have to respect all people, their beliefs. We're here on this channel to share information and showcase the Cuban lifestyle. And this is something that I had never shown on my channel, and I know that many people asked me about it in the comments. To talk about this, about the African religion, which is very popular here in Cuba, and I never did. I took the opportunity to make this video to show you more so you can learn about these things. I don't know much about it either, but it's interesting to learn about the subject. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll wrap it up now and have some water as it's a sunny day. Going for a walk at noon is uncommon for Cubans. They stay at home because the sun is intense during this time. And that's even though I have sunscreen, and well, that's it. I hope you found it interesting, that you like this video, and subscribe if you're new here. Give it a like and all those things. Remember that we have a new video every Friday, so I send you a little kiss and see you next time. Bye.